Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, also hated getting out of bed. His solution changed his life 1800 years ago and can change yours today. Have you ever had trouble getting out of bed? You're not alone. This has happened to all of us since ancient times. Emperor Marcus Aurelius had the exact same problem. In his diary, he wrote the following: "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, remind yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. But why stay under the covers? Many will think they are more comfortable in bed than working." The question Marcus Aurelius asked himself was, don't you see how animals perform their individual tasks? They do their job as best they can. And are you willing to do your job as a human being? Some will say, but at some point we have to sleep. That's true, but nature put a limit on that, just as it did with eating and drinking. If you think like that, you don't love yourself enough. Or you would also love your nature and what it demands of you. If Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, owner of half the known world, with unimaginable riches and absolute power, had to force himself out of bed, what's left for the rest of us? He could have stayed in his luxurious silk bed, surrounded by comforts, letting others take care of the problems of the empire. But he didn't. He forced himself to get up, to face each day with discipline, because he understood something fundamental. His purpose was not pleasure, but duty. Life is not just rest and comfort. We are not here to enjoy every minute as if we were creatures without reason, but to fulfill our purpose. A lion doesn't lie down when the sun is already high and the hunt awaits. A bee doesn't hide in its hive while the honey hasn't been collected. Every being has its function in nature, and we, as human beings, have ours. The problem is not the comfort of the bed, but the inner voice that whispers, 5 more minutes. That voice that promises rest, but delivers procrastination. That wraps us in the warmth of excuses and takes us away from what would really make us feel alive. Because the truth is this: the day you waste in laziness is a day you will never recover. And Marcus knew it. He understood that staying in bed meant more than just resting. It was giving in to the weakest part of oneself. And that is the real danger. Because every time you give power to that voice, every time you choose comfort over duty, you strengthen the chain that keeps you trapped. An invisible chain that, over time, will make you wake up one day without the will to break it. Therefore, the next time you feel the bed trapping you, ask yourself, am I here to warm sheets or to do what I have to do? It's not about being an emperor, a philosopher, or a warrior. It's about taking responsibility for being human. About understanding that every day is a battle against that part of us that wants to postpone, give up, stay still. And that battle, my friend, is the only one that really matters. Because every time you give in, even a little, you are teaching your mind that it's okay to give up. That comfort is worth more than action. That the momentary pleasure of staying under the covers is more valuable than the satisfaction of having fulfilled what you must do. Marcus Aurelius understood it. He knew that the real enemy is not the cold of the morning, nor the tiredness, nor even the work that awaited him. No, the real enemy is the internal resistance, that voice that looks for shortcuts, that prefers the easy over the right. It's not about never resting. Of course, rest is necessary, but the difference between someone who achieves something in life and someone who remains trapped is simple. One gets up when they should, the other when they feel like it. Look at it this way: every morning is an opportunity to train your character. To prove to yourself that you are in control, that you are not a slave to your impulses. It is in those moments when the mind looks for excuses that you most need to take action. Because if you don't, if you wait to feel ready, you will have lost. Marcus didn't have to do all this. He could have afforded to never get out of bed again. But he didn't, because he understood that discipline is not an option, but a duty. An emperor with the power to do whatever he wanted decided that the right thing to do was to get up and work. What does that say about us, who often look for any excuse not to do it? Every morning you have 2 paths: give in to the temptation of rest or get up and act. And the choice you make will determine the type of person you will become. Because that choice is not small. It's not just a today, I'll stay 5 more minutes. It's a declaration about who you are and where you're going. Every time you choose comfort over duty, you are shaping your character, and you are shaping it in the wrong direction. Marcus Aurelius understood this with brutal clarity. He knew that greatness is not built with moments of inspiration, but with the constant repetition of small victories over oneself. He knew that if he started his day with discipline, the rest would fall into place. Because what is life but a sum of mornings? And what is success but a series of well-made decisions, one after another? Think of any great achievement in history. None of them began with someone staying in bed, letting time pass. Greatness is born from action. And action begins with the most basic thing, getting up and starting the day with the right attitude. Because when you win that first battle against laziness, something changes inside you. You not only get up physically, but you also rise mentally. You show your mind that you are in control, that you are not a prisoner of your impulses. The problem is not the bed. It's the mentality with which you face the day. It's the difference between the one who says, "I'll do it tomorrow," and the one who gets up no matter how they feel. Every time you doubt, every time you want to procrastinate, remember this: Marcus Aurelius, with all his power, wealth, and comforts, chose to get up. Not because it was easy, but because he knew that doing so was part of his nature, of his purpose as a human being. If he could, why can't you? Because at the end of the day, the question is not whether you can do it. Of course you can. The question is whether you are willing. Because getting up when you don't want to is an act of will, of decision, of self-control. And that control, my friend, is the key to everything. Marcus Aurelius didn't get up because he liked getting up early. He didn't do it because he woke up full of energy or because the idea of facing problems excited him. He did it because he understood that his life did not belong to laziness. His time was not his to waste. He knew that every minute was an opportunity to live according to his purpose. Here's the problem: many believe that discipline is a burden, a heavy obligation. But it's not like that. Discipline is freedom. It is what allows you to be your own master instead of being a slave to your impulses. It is what separates those who achieve something from those who only dream of doing it. Think about this. Every time you ignore the alarm and decide to stay in bed, what you are saying is, "My comfort is more important than my destiny." And if you repeat that enough times, it becomes your reality. You become someone who wants more out of life, but is not willing to pay the price. But when you decide to get up, when you choose action over excuse, something changes in you. You realize that resistance is just a ghost, an illusion. That the real battle was never in the bed, but in your mind. And when you win that first fight of the day, the rest becomes easier. That is the difference between those who advance and those who stagnate. Between those who build and those who only imagine. Between those who see their life as an opportunity and those who let it pass. So the next time the voice of laziness tries to trap you, remember Marcus Aurelius. Remember that even the most powerful man in the world had to force himself out of bed. But he did it. And that's why he was great. Because greatness is not born in speeches, nor in intentions, nor in dreams. It is born in action. In those uncomfortable moments where everything inside you wants to give in, but you decide not to. Think of the great men in history. Do you think they achieved what they achieved because they always felt like it? Because they were always motivated? No. They achieved it because they understood something that most ignore. Motivation is a luxury, but discipline is a necessity. Marcus Aurelius didn't get up because he felt like it. He got up because he had a purpose. Because he knew that every day lost was one less day to fulfill it. And that's the point. You are not in this life just to exist. You are not here just to breathe and consume. You are here to do something, to build something, to lease something. And it all starts in those first seconds of the morning. Because if you fail in the small things, you will fail in the big things. If you can't master your body upon waking, how do you expect to master the challenges that life will put in your way? People who do important things are not the ones who are always motivated. They are the ones who act despite not being so. The ones who get up even when every fiber of their being tells them not to. The ones who understand that time is the most valuable resource and that wasting it in bed is not an option. Because what you do in the first hour of the day defines everything else. It defines your energy, your mindset, your productivity. It defines whether you are going to spend the day moving forward or simply surviving. So the next time the alarm rings, don't ask yourself if you feel like getting up. Ask yourself what kind of person you want to be, and act accordingly. Because in the end, it's not just about getting out of bed. It's about getting up in life. It's about stopping to give in to the part of you that always wants the easy way. The problem is not the bed, nor the lack of energy, nor the cold of the morning. The problem is the internal negotiation. That little voice that says 5 more minutes won't make a difference. But they do. Not for the 5 minutes themselves, but for what they represent. Because every time you give in, you are training yourself to give in again. And that is how a life of mediocrity is built, one excuse at a time. Marcus Aurelius knew it. He knew that the danger was not in rest, but in excessive rest. In getting used to comfort until becoming useless. In becoming a prisoner of momentary pleasure at the cost of life's purpose. Because that is what many do not see. They believe that discipline is a burden, but in reality it is what gives you power. Laziness weakens you, action strengthens you. Comfort numbs you, effort awakens you. It doesn't matter if you are an emperor or just someone trying to improve their life. The struggle is the same. And every day, every morning, you have the opportunity to choose which side you are on. You can be the one who postpones, the one who leaves everything for later, the one who hides in the excuse of "I don't feel like it." Or you can be the one who acts, the one who doesn't negotiate with laziness, the one who gets up because they know there is something bigger than their comfort. That decision seems small, but it changes everything. Because the one who wins the battle of the morning wins the day. And the one who wins enough days wins their life. Because life is not defined by the great moments, but by the small choices we make again and again. The way you start your day reflects the way you face life. If every morning you give in to laziness, you are training your mind to give up when bigger challenges appear. Do you think someone builds a strong and powerful life if they can't overcome the simple discomfort of getting out of bed? Marcus Aurelius understood this better than anyone. He didn't need to prove anything to anyone. He had no bosses, no one to scold him if he was late. He could do whatever he wanted. And yet he chose to get up early and work like any other man. Why? Because he knew his duty was not only to Rome, but to himself. Because he understood that discipline is the foundation of true freedom. You cannot be free if you are a slave to your weakness, if every day you allow your desires to dictate your actions. If the most powerful man in the world decided that his life should be governed by action and not by laziness, what excuse do you have left? What you do in the first hours of the day sets the rhythm for everything else. If your first decision of the day is to postpone, delay, give in, how do you expect to have a productive day? How do you expect to be strong in difficult times if you can't even get up when you need to? It's not a matter of motivation, it's a matter of identity. Who do you want to be? The one who lets the days pass without doing anything significant? Or the one who takes control, the one who gets up even when they don't want to, the one who acts because they know their life deserves more? That is the real question. And the answer lies in what you do tomorrow when the alarm rings. Because every time you choose to get up when you don't want to, you are building something inside you. You are forging the kind of person who faces life with determination, who does not let laziness dominate them, who understands that time is an irreplaceable resource. Marcus Aurelius didn't have to get up. He could have stayed in his imperial bed, surrounded by luxuries, without anyone questioning him. But he didn't, because he knew that true luxury was not comfort, but willpower. The ability to do the right thing no matter how you feel. The world is not made for those who postpone, for those who wait to feel ready, for those who believe they can delay their purpose. It is made for those who act, those who decide, those who do not negotiate with their excuses. And here is the truth that no one wants to hear. Your life is not going to change magically. No one will come to get you out of bed. No one will do the work for you. If you want a different life, you must start living differently. Get up, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Not because you feel like it, but because it's the right thing to do. Not because someone forces you, but because you decide that's how it will be. Because every morning is a new battle. And the question is not whether you can win it. The question is whether you are willing. So if this message resonated with you, if you feel you need this kind of push in your life, subscribe to the channel. Like, comment your opinion, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because discipline is not something you learn alone, it is forged together, step by step, day by day. See you in the next video.